Good morning, everyone. It's Lindsay Huddleston back in the building with another SPS Monday Motivation. Hope you guys are doing okay. I'm doing great. Happy Monday to you. We're getting this week started. Hope you had a good weekend. I had a good one, very restful. And just happy to be able to come to you guys today. The weather is changing. Still got that Michigan, a little frosty feeling out there, but we still can get excited about how this weather is changing going into a new season. So, what is today's Monday motivation? What are we talking about today? And that is being happy is your responsibility. That's right. Being happy is your responsibility. I know in these days and times, mental health is real, and I'm not disregarding any kind of mental health challenges anyone may be approaching or facing, but just talking about the day to day and how you motivate yourself to stay focused and keep things going. And some things I want to share about that. So, most people will step up and take responsibility for their own actions. Many of us tend to dodge is talking about taking responsibility for our response to other actions. Like, yeah, you can be responsible for your day-to-day handling your business, but the question becomes, are you taking responsibility for how we respond to others? That's right. Other people can get you down. There's no question. I got Michelle Mimi walking in this morning. Michelle Mimi Walkers, how are you? Good morning to you. Also got Tino in the building. He said, motivate me, Lindsay. I was all right, no pressure, no pressure. Hey, man, hey, we're responsible for our own happiness. And I say this because so many times things happen and take place in our life. We be like, man, they did this, they did that. But are we taking that responsibility? Now, what I'm not going to do is downplay people being mean, rude, inappropriate, and all these type of things that end up causing all these type of issues with people going forward. I'm not going to downplay somebody being out of order, somebody doing something that's totally inappropriate. But the reality is you got Coach B Knight, got Broderick Knight representing them, Henry Ford Soldiers. I thought I told you, hey, going back to my coach career at Henry Ford High School, my point guard. Hey, I said, man, it's a technical foul. Put Broderick on the line. Broderick will make them free throws. Good to see you, baby. Hey, we're not being responsible. Can't let somebody else be responsible for your happiness. And the greatest motivator of all, my mother, Patricia England, in the building. Good morning, mother. She said, good morning, son. Hey, I want to talk about being happy is your responsibility, okay? All right, Lindsay, where you going with this? We always say it's his fault, it's her fault, it's their fault. It's always a way to be able to say somebody else has something to do with how you feel. Now, I'm not taking anything away from that. It could be something that they did. I want to talk about an article that I read, and it was pretty good. It talks about it's time to take responsibility for your happiness. 12 ways to be happier now. This came out in 2020, ironically, before the pandemic hit. The pandemic hit in March of 2020. So people weren't really even in the pandemic mindset. And this article comes from this site called Believe and Curate. Believe and Curate. And it says some great things, but one of the quotes it has in there by somebody I've always had a great respect for, Wayne Dyer. He's since passed almost 10 years ago. August, it'll be 10 years. But he was one of the first people I started reading, that were non-academic books when I started kind of getting into my self-help years ago. I'll never forget a comment he made about perspective. You can see he got like balding hair with hair on the side. He says, to some, I don't have a lot of hair. He said, unless it's in your soup. And I'm like, see, it's all about perspective. And that's all I want to say. So shout out to the late, great Wayne Dyer and what he talked about. But in this article, it talks about some things that we can work on that can help us. But before I go there, I want to touch on a few other things. We always talk about how he's preventing me from living the life I want, talking about somebody. Or I can't get anywhere when she's doing this to me. I'd be fine if it weren't for them treating me this way. If I'm nice, they just take advantage of me, so I can't be nice, but that's not my fault. It's theirs. Gotta be careful with this one. Then also, too, here's the thing. When you blame others instead of taking responsibility, you're relinquishing your power to change the situation. That's what Wayne Dyer said some time ago. You're relinquishing the power to change. I said, no, Lindsay, but they out of order. Look how they doing me. They do this all the time. Yeah, I understand. I'm not taking anything away from somebody being wrong and out of order, but you got to have a mental shift, a psychological shift to figure out how you're going to maintain, because you're going to be at the end of this where it all falls on you. Patricia England says, quote from your great grandmother, aka Big Mama, shout out to Bessie Summerlin. She says, if no one makes you happy, make your own self happy. And that was Bessie Summerlin, lived a great life. had the luxury of knowing my great grandmother, Big Mama. She was sweet as she can be, and as my mother would tell me, when she lived on 8 Mile in Basil and walked through the community, everybody from the businessmen that got up and went to work every day respected her to the wino to say, "Hey, that's Miss Bessie, leave her alone." But it was respect and how she gained that. And I would see my great grandmother at times walking from 8 Mile to her home, beautiful home on the west side of Detroit, and just the grace that she had. And I think that's important to realize, folks. I'm not saying people not out here out of order. I'm not saying people not out here doing bad things, talking crazy, acting crazy. But I am saying that we have to be responsible for our own happiness despite that. It's not giving them a pass. It's not saying it's okay, but we have to do that. So with the time I have, I want to share a few things that can be of an assistance to how we're going to do and get there. There were 12 rules. I'll share with you a few. The article says happiness is an inside job. Shout out to my late great grandmother, Big Mama. That's what she said. If you're not happy on the inside, you won't be happy on the outside. See, so many times we have these physical attributes that we promote that we think will make us happy, whether it's just the material things or where you've been and all that. I'm not taking anything away from that, but are you happy on the inside? Can you find peace on the inside? That's important. Also, think big picture. What do you really want from life? I think we don't do that enough. We get caught in the rat race and the rigmarole and running back and forth. The answer won't be in your words, it'll be evident in your actions. Align yourself with actions with your deepest desires. One thing I did several years ago, I started walking down the path of something I want to do. You see over my shoulder, it says SPS, and SPS is in the building. I find so much fulfillment in the work that I'm doing in that space. So I can take responsibility for myself. I can't turn and look at an employer or somebody else and say, oh, they're not doing right by me and I'm not going to be happy. I got to find out within myself based on me following things that I want. Got Coach Jimmy Making in the building. Good morning, brother. Good to see you. I know you guys are going to be at the University of Michigan this Thursday. I won't be able to be with you guys. I have an event with my daughter, so family come first. But go down there and represent, Brother Maker. Always good to see you representing the Central Trailblazers and everything good about Detroit Public Schools athletics. My guy. So what we're saying is also, what else can we look at that can be a resource too? Also, take responsibility for handling your emotions appropriately. Uh-oh, Lindsay, where you going with that? The goal is not to squelch your emotions. I think that's something we minimize. We always say, they almost say having emotions is a bad thing. That's not necessarily the case. They exist for a very good reason. The goal is to manage them and not allow them to become masters that dictate how you behave. Yeah, if somebody does something that pisses you off, it's okay to be bothered by it, but you got to manage it. It's like you can't let those intrusive thoughts come out. I go to the grocery store with Mal and say, Daddy, I got intrusive thoughts. I want to walk down this aisle and just knock all that stuff out. I say, well, baby, you got to control those intrusive thoughts. But see, I think the miscommunication we're having, the narrative that's out there is that you can't have emotions or you have to be emotionless. No, you got to have emotion, but you got to manage the emotion. You got to be able to see where this is going to dictate where you're going to go next and keep those things in mind. Also, hey, you can't control everything that happens to you, but you can control your response. I know this may seem trite. You know, we may have been hearing this since we've been little, but it's important, though. You're going to go through some pretty unfair things in life. As I was alluding to earlier, people can be out of order and wrong. How do I know? Because everyone does. That's just the reality. Everybody has their ups and downs and situations. But the grace, the same grace I said that my great-great-grandmother, Bessie Summerlin had when she would walk down the street, the grace with which you handle those situations will largely determine how satisfied you are in life. In many cases, when you handle something real smooth, it really gives you the advantage going forward. You know, I know sometimes we be ready to, just take off on somebody, whatever or not, but the best way you can manage it, the process to think through it can help you going forward. And that's something to keep in mind. Also, powerlessness feels awful. Nobody wants to feel powerlessness. And that's probably the feeling that's been equated to the things I've talked about when people may do you wrong or be out of order. If you had the choice to feel powerful or powerless, which would you choose? Of course, 100% of the time, powerful, right? When you fail to take responsibility for your life, you are choosing to feel powerless. It will never feel good, be good. And I have to be careful with this. I'm not saying this in this strictly conservative standpoint because things happen and people get done wrong. But I'm saying, who you gonna get the power to? You get a power to the person who did you wrong, or you go say, let me take a step back and figure out how I can regain my power back. And sometimes that comes with action, sometimes that comes with deep thought. And with the time that I have, there's one other thing I want to leave you with. The great Inky Johnson, great motivator. I don't know how he had an accident with his arm, but his arm has been paralyzed. And if you ever see him speak, you can see that his arm, just kind of languages on the side, but he's an inspiring speaker, and I think he had a great one for everybody. So check this out, guys.
Pick yourself up every single day. I couldn't be 5, 10 years later. Man, ain't nobody help me. It ain't their responsibility to help you.
Facts.
If you got dealt the situation, figure it out.
Facts.
If you got dealt the situation, deal with it.
Facts.
We get mad at people when we go through something or get dealt something because they don't solve the problem. It ain't their problem to solve. It's your problem to solve, Jack.
That's Inky Johnson right there. I think that's great. I'm not downplaying your challenges or what happens, but I'm saying take your power back. If somebody is pissing you off, whether it's, a relationship, at the job or wherever you may go, take the power back to say, okay, what do I have to do to make myself feel good again? Because so many times we rely on so many external factors to make us feel good, or external actions that can take away our positive feeling about ourselves. Let's go back to this image right here. His fault, her fault, their fault. There's always somebody else that we can blame. I'm not saying that that's not true, but you don't want to be stuck on that street where you can't make a move. So with that, guys, I want to encourage you to have a great day. I appreciate everybody checking in. Stay encouraged. You are responsible for your own happiness. Life is tough, ups and downs, trials and tribulations. But at the end of the day, you need to say, what do I need to do to find peace within? Because you try to wait on somebody else to give you something to make you happy, it's going to be hard. And if you let somebody have the power over you that they can dictate your happiness, that's going to be a harder way to go too. So I want you guys to have a great day, have a great week, have a great life, have a great, wonderful time in this world with the time that we have. And just take your power back and continue to be responsible for your happiness. Thank you, guys. Have a great day. Peace.